NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, was founded in 1949 as a collective defense alliance, primarily to counter the growing influence of the Soviet Union during the early stages of the Cold War. The organization was initially established with 12 founding member countries from North America and Western Europe, united by the common goal of protecting democratic nations from the threat of Soviet expansion. The establishment of NATO was seen as a strategic move in response to the geopolitical instability following the devastation of World War II, with the alliance serving as a bulwark against communist ideology in Europe. During the Cold War, NATO's role was crucial in maintaining a balance of power between the Western Bloc, led by the United States, and the Eastern Bloc, dominated by the Soviet Union. NATO's strategic military infrastructure, including nuclear deterrence capabilities, played a pivotal role in ensuring that both superpowers refrained from direct military confrontation. However, as the Cold War progressed, NATO expanded its membership and operations, adapting to new global security challenges while maintaining its core mission of collective defense. Over the decades, NATO has transformed into a global military alliance with 32 member states, encompassing not only European nations but also countries from North America. This expansion has reflected NATO's evolving role in global geopolitics, from focusing solely on Europe's defense to addressing complex security issues around the world. Today, NATO's significance extends beyond traditional defense concerns, as it plays an integral role in shaping global peace, managing crises, and ensuring security in an increasingly interconnected world. As the alliance continues to evolve, one of the key challenges facing NATO is its ability to maintain unity and adapt to changing geopolitical dynamics. The shifting nature of global threats, from regional conflicts to the rise of non-state actors and cyber warfare, requires NATO to remain flexible in its strategies and priorities. The importance of NATO in modern geopolitics is more apparent than ever, as it navigates the complexities of international relations and works to address emerging security challenges. Moving forward, NATO's future will depend on its ability to balance traditional defense missions with new, non-traditional threats. Its capacity to unite member states with differing interests and its continued relevance in global security are questions that will shape the alliance in the years to come. In the aftermath of World War II, the geopolitical landscape underwent a significant transformation. The United States emerged as a preeminent global power, while the Soviet Union expanded its influence across Eastern Europe. This division set the stage for the Cold War, a period characterized by ideological, political, and military tensions between the Western Bloc, led by the United States, and the Eastern Bloc, dominated by the Soviet Union. The threat of Soviet expansion across Europe fueled the need for a collective defense arrangement to safeguard Western democratic values and prevent the spread of communism. Amidst this climate of suspicion and rivalry, the North Atlantic Treaty was signed on April 4, 1949, in Washington, D.C. This agreement marked the formal establishment of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, a collective defense alliance comprising the United States, Canada, and 10 Western European nations: Belgium, Denmark, France, Iceland, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, and the United Kingdom. The treaty's primary objective was to provide mutual defense against armed attacks, particularly from the Soviet Union, thereby ensuring the security and stability of the North Atlantic region. The founding members of NATO recognized the necessity of a unified defense strategy in the face of growing Soviet expansionism. The USSR's consolidation of power in Eastern Europe and its aggressive foreign policies prompted Western nations to seek a collective security arrangement. NATO's formation was a strategic response to these developments, aiming to deter Soviet aggression and maintain the balance of power in Europe. The threat of further Soviet encroachment made it clear that the fragmented, war-torn European nations could not independently defend themselves, thus fostering the urgent need for an alliance. In its early years, NATO's efforts were focused on establishing a cohesive military structure and integrating the defense capabilities of its member states. This integration was essential not only for enhancing collective security, but also for creating an effective deterrent against Soviet aggression. The alliance's first major test came during the Korean War, 1950 to 1953, which underscored the importance of collective defense and led to the expansion of NATO's strategic objectives beyond the European theater. This period also witnessed the development of NATO's integrated military command structure, enhancing coordination among member nations and solidifying the alliance's role as a central pillar of Western defense policy. During the Cold War, NATO's significance continued to grow, serving not only as a military alliance, but also as a political and ideological counterweight to the Soviet-led Warsaw Pact. As tensions escalated, NATO's commitment to collective defense and democratic values reinforced the West's resolve in opposing Soviet influence and expansion. NATO's presence in Europe provided a stabilizing force during a time of heightened tensions, contributing to the eventual dissolution of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War. The legacy of NATO's founding continues to influence global security dynamics. The alliance's evolution reflects the changing nature of international relations and the enduring importance of collective security arrangements in addressing contemporary threats. As the world faces new challenges, such as cyber threats, terrorism, and the rise of new global powers, the foundation laid by NATO in 1949 remains critical in navigating the complexities of maintaining peace and stability in a multipolar world. Understanding NATO's origins and development provides valuable insights into the mechanisms of international cooperation and the ongoing need for collaborative defense structures. NATO's role during the Cold War was foundational in shaping the global geopolitical landscape and ensuring the security of Western nations in the face of Soviet expansionism. The alliance, born from the collective desire to counter the increasing threat of communism, primarily focused on military defense, but its influence extended well beyond the battlefield, shaping the political and strategic outlook of the West during this tense period. The Cold War, which began shortly after the conclusion of World War II, was characterized by a bitter rivalry between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. As Europe was divided between capitalist democracies in the West and communist regimes in the East, NATO emerged as a central force in the effort to defend Western interests. The signing of the North Atlantic Treaty in 1949 marked the beginning of NATO, with its primary mission being the deterrence of Soviet aggression through a collective defense pact, enshrined in Article 5 of the treaty. This article committed each member to defend any other member that was attacked, creating a robust military alliance designed to thwart Soviet expansionism. At the heart of NATO's military strategy during the Cold War was the principle of deterrence. The alliance maintained a powerful, integrated military structure with the aim of preventing the Soviet Union from extending its influence further into Europe. NATO's military presence in Western Europe acted as a counterbalance to the Warsaw Pact, a military alliance established by the Soviet Union and its Eastern Bloc allies in 1955. The rivalry between NATO and the Warsaw Pact defined much of the Cold War, with both alliances competing for global influence through proxy wars, military buildups, and political maneuvering. In the European theater, NATO's military strategies were critical in maintaining the stability of Western Europe. The positioning of NATO troops in countries like Germany served as a deterrent to Soviet expansion, while the alliance's commitment to collective defense provided a sense of security to nations vulnerable to Soviet threats. The Berlin blockade, 1948 to 1949, and the subsequent Berlin airlift were pivotal moments early in NATO's history, demonstrating the alliance's resolve to oppose Soviet pressure and protect its member states. The alliance's presence was not just military, but political, with NATO playing a crucial role in solidifying the transatlantic bond between the United States and Europe. The Cold War also saw NATO's involvement in various military conflicts and strategic initiatives outside of Europe, such as the Korean War, 1950 to 1953. This conflict highlighted NATO's broader role in the global fight against communism, extending its strategic focus beyond European borders. It led to an expansion of NATO's military objectives, including its role in global peacekeeping and intervention in regional conflicts, such as those in the Middle East and Africa, where the alliance aimed to curb Soviet influence. Despite the escalating tension, NATO's rivalry with the Warsaw Pact helped to stabilize the broader global security environment by preventing direct military confrontation between the two superpowers. The careful balance of power between NATO and the Warsaw Pact also influenced the strategies and policies of other nations, creating a geopolitical landscape where the threat of nuclear war, though ever present, was often balanced by diplomatic efforts, such as the détente of the 1970s. As a result, NATO's role in shaping the Cold War period was not merely about military engagement, but also about the political and ideological commitments to counterbalance the Soviet Union's influence on the global stage. As NATO evolved during the Cold War, its impact on global security became more pronounced. The alliance's ability to adapt to changing military and political circumstances helped maintain Western unity and deter direct Soviet intervention in Europe. The military, economic, and political cooperation among NATO members during this period laid the groundwork for the post-Cold War world order and demonstrated the enduring importance of collective security arrangements in addressing complex international threats. Looking back, NATO's role in the Cold War underscores its foundational importance in the security architecture of the West. Its military strategies, as well as its political and ideological rivalries, not only shaped the course of the Cold War, but also established NATO as a central actor in maintaining global peace and stability for decades to come. This legacy continues to influence NATO's policies and its responses to contemporary challenges in the modern geopolitical environment. The end of the Cold War marked a significant turning point for NATO, posing both new opportunities and challenges for the alliance. As the Soviet Union dissolved and Eastern Europe transitioned away from communism, NATO faced a complex and rapidly changing global security environment. With the collapse of its primary adversary, NATO had to adapt to maintain its relevance and effectiveness in the post-Cold War era. In the early 1990s, NATO's immediate challenge was to redefine its role in a world where its founding premise, countering Soviet expansion, no longer existed. Without the looming threat of a USSR, the alliance had to establish a new purpose. This period saw the beginning of NATO's first major internal divisions, particularly over the question of expansion. While some members, especially the United States, advocated for incorporating former Soviet bloc countries into NATO, others were more cautious, concerned about antagonizing Russia and destabilizing the region. Despite these internal disagreements, NATO began its historic expansion, incorporating countries from Eastern Europe. The inclusion of nations such as Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic in 1999 marked the first wave of NATO's eastward enlargement. This was followed by additional rounds of expansion, which extended the alliance's reach to the Baltics and even the Balkans. The expansion was seen by many as a means to solidify democratic values and promote stability in countries transitioning from communist rule. For NATO, it represented a reaffirmation of its commitment to collective security and regional peace, but it also provoked strong reactions from Russia, which viewed NATO's growth as a direct threat to its sphere of influence. At the same time, NATO faced new security challenges in the form of emerging global threats. The most notable of these was the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, which prompted NATO to invoke Article 5 of its founding treaty for the first time in history. This article, which commits members to defend one another in the event of an attack, served as the basis for NATO's involvement in the US-led war on terror. NATO's role expanded beyond the defense of Europe, and the alliance became increasingly involved in global security issues, including counterterrorism, peacekeeping missions, and the stabilization of conflict zones such as Afghanistan and Iraq. The post-9/11 era also saw NATO's evolving role in addressing unconventional threats. The rise of cyber warfare, the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, and the challenges posed by non-state actors required NATO to adopt new strategies and tools. In response, NATO has made significant investments in cybersecurity and other areas of hybrid warfare, adapting its military capabilities to meet the demands of the 21st century. However, NATO's expansion and adaptation have not been without controversy. Some member states have expressed concerns about the increasing divergence between the alliance's strategic priorities and the actual capabilities of its members. Additionally, internal divisions have resurfaced, particularly in the face of divergent national interests and the shifting political landscape within member countries. The debate over burden sharing and NATO's future strategic direction has become more pronounced as the alliance grapples with its role in a multipolar world. Despite these challenges, NATO's post-Cold War evolution underscores its resilience and adaptability. As the global security environment continues to evolve, the alliance's ability to maintain unity and relevance will be tested. The lessons learned from its post-Cold War struggles are critical in shaping NATO's future, especially as new threats and geopolitical shifts continue to challenge its foundational principles. As NATO adapts to the complex security challenges of the 21st century, it remains an essential pillar of international security, playing a key role in maintaining stability and promoting peace across the globe. NATO's role in the 21st century has evolved significantly, shaped by both the changing geopolitical landscape and the alliance's increasing involvement in global security challenges. As the post-Cold War order transitioned into a multipolar world, NATO found itself facing new, complex threats, including terrorism, regional instability, and increasingly assertive powers like Russia. One of NATO's most pivotal shifts occurred with its involvement in the War on Terror, which fundamentally altered its strategic priorities. Following the September 11, 2001 attacks, NATO invoked Article 5 of its founding treaty for the first time, signaling a collective defense response. This unprecedented move led to NATO's participation in military operations in Afghanistan, marking the alliance's expansion beyond its traditional role of European defense. The mission, aimed at dismantling terrorist networks and stabilizing the region, illustrated NATO's adaptability, yet also highlighted the complexities of fighting non-state actors and countering asymmetric warfare in distant lands. Simultaneously, NATO's relationship with Russia became increasingly strained. The expansion of the alliance, particularly the inclusion of former Soviet bloc countries like Poland, the Czech Republic, and Hungary, was met with intense opposition from Moscow. NATO's move to include countries in Eastern Europe, once part of the Soviet sphere of influence, was seen as an encroachment on Russia's traditional area of dominance. This tension culminated in the annexation of Crimea by Russia in 2014 and the subsequent conflict in Ukraine, a crisis that has tested NATO's unity and commitment to collective defense. NATO's response, which included deploying troops to Eastern Europe and offering support to Ukraine, has raised questions about the alliance's ability to deter Russia's aggressive actions and its broader role in global security. NATO's expansion continued into the 21st century, with new members like Finland and Sweden formally joining the alliance, further strengthening its presence in Europe. This expansion not only bolstered NATO's military capabilities, but also reinforced its political and ideological commitment to democratic values, offering security assurances to countries in a region historically vulnerable to external threats. Beyond Europe, NATO's involvement in the Middle East and Africa has also grown significantly. The alliance has engaged in various peacekeeping operations, counterterrorism initiatives, and humanitarian missions in countries like Libya, Iraq, and Afghanistan. NATO's presence in these regions reflects the alliance's evolving mission to ensure global stability, but it also raises questions about the limits of its interventionist policies and the effectiveness of military engagements in regions with complex political dynamics. In light of these developments, NATO faces a multitude of challenges as it navigates the complex landscape of 21st century geopolitics. Internal divisions remain, particularly regarding defense, spending, and the balance of power between the United States and European allies. Furthermore, the rise of hybrid threats, such as cyber warfare and disinformation campaigns, demands that NATO continues to adapt its strategies to address unconventional security concerns. Looking forward, NATO's role in global security will remain crucial, but its capacity to maintain cohesion and relevance in an increasingly fragmented world will be continually tested. As the alliance faces these new challenges, its ability to balance collective defense with the demands of modern warfare will determine its future effectiveness. The next phase of NATO's journey will require not only military strength, but also diplomatic ingenuity to navigate an evolving global order marked by emerging threats and shifting alliances. As we look towards the future of NATO, it is clear that the alliance will continue to play a pivotal role in shaping global security. NATO's relevance in the 21st century hinges on its ability to adapt to the rapidly changing geopolitical landscape. The alliance's history is deeply rooted in its commitment to collective defense, but the nature of global threats today presents new challenges that require flexibility, collaboration, and strategic foresight. In the wake of the Cold War, NATO successfully transitioned from a military-centric alliance focused on countering the Soviet threat to a more comprehensive security organization. However, as global dynamics evolve, NATO faces a series of strategic challenges that demand further adaptation. The rise of new global powers, the resurgence of regional conflicts, and the increasing threat of cyber warfare all necessitate a more nuanced approach to defense and diplomacy. The alliance's traditional role as a bulwark against aggression is now complemented by its involvement in addressing non-traditional security threats, including terrorism, climate change, and cyber attacks. These emerging challenges call for NATO to rethink its operational strategies and expand its reach beyond conventional military deterrence. One of the most pressing challenges NATO faces is the evolving relationship between its founding member, the United States, and Europe's growing desire for greater security independence. While NATO remains a cornerstone of U.S. foreign policy, the Trump administration's America First doctrine and the recent push for European strategic autonomy have raised questions about the future of transatlantic cooperation. European nations are increasingly seeking to bolster their defense capabilities and reduce their reliance on U.S. military support. This shift presents both opportunities and risks for NATO, as it will require a careful balance between maintaining a united front and respecting the autonomy of individual members. The challenge lies in strengthening European defense capabilities without undermining the foundational principle of collective defense. Simultaneously, NATO's ongoing expansion into regions like Eastern Europe, with countries like Finland and Sweden joining the alliance, represents both a sign of success and a potential source of tension. The expansion aims to provide security guarantees to countries that have historically been vulnerable to external threats. However, as NATO continues to absorb new members, it must navigate the complex geopolitics of Russia's growing assertiveness. The alliance's commitment to its open-door policy must be weighed against the risk of provoking further conflict with Russia, particularly as the Ukraine crisis continues to unfold. In terms of global peace and conflict resolution, NATO's role is multifaceted. The alliance has been involved in peacekeeping missions, humanitarian aid, and conflict resolution in various parts of the world, including the Middle East and Africa. While its presence in these regions has been instrumental in stabilizing certain areas, NATO's interventions have not been without criticism. The effectiveness of military intervention in complex geopolitical contexts remains a subject of debate, and NATO must learn from past experiences to refine its approach to peacekeeping and conflict prevention. Looking ahead, the future of NATO is undoubtedly shaped by its ability to address these challenges. The alliance's continued relevance will depend on its ability to evolve in response to new security concerns, maintain cohesion among its diverse member states, and strengthen its partnerships with other global actors. As NATO moves forward, it must remain committed to its founding values of democracy, collective defense, and international cooperation while embracing the realities of a rapidly changing world. This delicate balance will define NATO's capacity to safeguard global security in the coming decades.